My mom walked into my house and said, "You have a spare room, so I'm moving in." I laughed, thinking she was joking, until she showed up with movers. What my husband said next made her scream. I never thought I'd have to fight back against my own mother, but she left me no choice. One day, she came into my house, looked around like she was checking out a hotel, and casually said, "You have an extra room, so I'm moving in." I laughed because I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. The truth is, my mom was never the loving, caring type. When I was growing up, she made it clear she didn't really want kids. She had me and my sister because she thought it was what women were supposed to do. Once we were old enough to take care of ourselves, she made sure we knew we were a burden. At 16, I had a job. At 17, I was paying rent to live in her house. At 18, she told me to leave because her house wasn't a charity, so I left. I worked hard, got through college with scholarships, and built a stable life. I married a wonderful man, and we bought a house together. For the first time, I had peace. No yelling, no mind games, no walking on eggshells. Just peace, until my mom decided to crash back into my life. When she said she was moving in, I laughed, but she was serious. "I'm not joking," she said. "That room is empty, and I need a place to stay. It makes sense." I said no, but she didn't listen. "Of course you'll let me stay. You're my daughter. You owe me." I didn't owe her anything. I told her no again, but she kept talking over me like my opinion didn't matter. She said her landlord was raising the rent. She was tired of working, and it was time for her kids to take care of her. She acted like it was already decided. I told her, "Not happening." She called me ungrateful and stormed out. I thought that was the end of it, but a week later, a moving truck pulled into my driveway. At first, I didn't understand what was happening. I heard the truck, looked outside, and there she was telling movers what to do like she owned the place. I ran outside and said, "What are you doing?" She looked at me like I was dumb and said, "Moving in." I laughed again, thinking it was a joke, but the movers were already unloading furniture. A couch, boxes, even a bed. I stood in front of the door and said, "No, you're not moving in." She rolled her eyes and said, "Don't be dramatic. I'm your mother. Of course I'm moving in." That's when my husband stepped in. He walked up to her, crossed his arms, and in a calm but cold voice said, "Take your things and get off our property. Now?" My mom, who was used to getting her way, looked shocked. "Excuse me," she said. He didn't back down. "You heard me." Then she screamed, a loud, angry scream, right there in the driveway in front of the neighbors and the movers. She lost it. "You can't do this to me," she yelled. "This is my right. You owe me." She turned to me, her face red with anger. "You're really going to let him talk to me like this? I raised you. I fed you. I gave you a home." I stared at her, furious. "You kicked me out at 18, I said." She waved it off. "You were an adult." I replied, "So are you." She kept screaming, saying we were cruel, that she'd tell the whole family, and that I'd regret this. The movers looked uncomfortable, realizing they were in the middle of a family fight. Then my husband said, "If you don't leave in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police." That shut her up for a moment. She stood there, breathing hard, fists clenched. Then, without another word, she turned around, stomped to her car, and drove off, leaving the movers confused. I don't know what she expected, that she could just decide to move in and I'd let her, that she could take over my life after all these years. But it wasn't over. The next day, the calls and texts started from relatives with threats and accusations. That's when I realized this wasn't just about her being pushy. It was a full-on war. I thought she'd throw her tantrum and give up. I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to 27 missed calls from my sister, my aunt, and cousins. I groaned, knowing what it was about. Then I saw the texts. "How could you kick your own mother out? You're a terrible daughter. She did so much for you, and this is how you repay her. She's your mother. What kind of person are you?" I sat up in bed, my heart racing. What was she telling them? My sister called and yelled. She told everyone you kicked her out with nowhere to go. She said her landlord evicted her, and you and your husband threw her out with all her stuff. She's staying with Aunt Maria, crying about how cruel you are. I was furious. "That's not what happened," I said. My sister snapped, "I know, but half the family thinks you're the villain now." Of course, she was playing the victim. She'd always twisted the truth to make herself look innocent and everyone else look bad. And it worked. Family members started blocking me on social media. Even some coworkers acted strange. When I asked around, I found out she called my job. I couldn't believe it. She called my workplace, told them she was my mother, that she was homeless, and that I'd abandoned her. She said she was worried about my moral character and wanted to warn them about me. I was shaking. This wasn't just a family fight anymore. She was trying to ruin my life. I sat on the couch, staring at my phone, my hands trembling. My husband sat beside me, quiet for a while. Then he asked, "What do you want to do?" That's when I realized something. My whole life, I had always been reacting to her. She would do something terrible, and I would handle it. But not this time. This time I was going to act first, and she wouldn't see it coming. She wanted a fight. Fine. I'd give her one. First, I had to stop her lies. I called my job, talked to HR, and explained everything. How my mom had made up a sad story to make me look bad. Luckily, they believed me, but they warned me to be careful. That's when I knew she wasn't going to stop. Over the next few days, things got worse. My mom wasn't just ruining my reputation. She was trying to take over my life. First, I got a notice from my bank. Someone had tried to access my account using my old name and security questions, things only she would know. Then, I got an email from my insurance company. Someone had tried to add themselves to my policy, and the last straw, a fake claim saying I had abandoned her and was financially abusing her. She was trying to make me look like a criminal. I was angry, but I stayed calm. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. I froze my credit, changed all my passwords, and set up extra security. Then, I called a lawyer. After that, I started digging into her past. Because my mom had secrets, big ones, and I was going to expose them, the truth that would destroy her. I called old family friends and people who used to know her. What I found out shocked me. It turned out she hadn't just been evicted like she said. She had been kicked out for scamming her landlord. She had been renting out her apartment on Aaron without telling him, making thousands of dollars and not paying him. When he found out, she tried to blame him. It didn't work. She was banned from renting in most places. That's why she tried to move in with me. She had nowhere else to go. But it got worse. I also found out she had stolen money from my grandmother before she died, money meant for medical bills. She spent it on vacations. That's why most of the family didn't talk to her. She was a liar, a cheat, and a thief. And I had proof. Now it was my turn to expose her. I set a trap, and she walked right into it. I waited for her next move. I knew she couldn't resist trying to get more from me. Sure enough, a few days later, she called my lawyer, saying she was entitled to my money and that I had to let her live with me because of some fake legal rule. My lawyer shut her down. But I wasn't done. I gathered all the evidence, the eviction, the scams, the stolen money. Then I did what she didn't expect. I sent it to the whole family. And I didn't stop there. I sent it to her landlord, the bank she owed money to, and even the police, because some of what she did was very illegal. The fallout was instant. The family turned on her. All the relatives who had been attacking me went quiet. Some even apologized. Her landlord sued her. The bank started an investigation. And the best part, the police were looking into the money she stole from my grandmother. The last I heard, she was desperate, trying to find someone to take her in. But no one wanted her. She had burned every bridge. As for me, I finally had peace. I thought she would fight back, tell more lies, and play the victim like she always did. But I didn't realize how quickly people would turn on her. Once the truth came out, everyone abandoned her. No one defended her anymore. She tried to fix things. She called my sister, my aunt, and even distant cousins, saying I was the liar and I was trying to ruin her life. No one believed her. She went to Aunt Maria, the one person who had taken her in after I kicked her out, and begged to stay. Aunt Maria threw her out. She had only helped because she thought my mom was just a struggling woman. But when she found out my mom had been stealing from her, she snapped. She threw my mom's bags on the lawn and slammed the door. Just like that, my mom was homeless. Karma hit her harder than I ever could. But the best part, it wasn't even me who finished her, it was the law. A few weeks later, I got a call from a detective. The police were looking into my mom's finances, especially the money she stole from my grandmother. And guess what? She had warrants for her arrest. She had done other scams, small frauds, bad checks, even stealing someone's identity. I didn't know, but I wasn't surprised. With all the evidence I gave them, they had enough to arrest her. The day she was arrested, I got a text from a cousin. Your mom just got arrested at a gas station. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I smiled. The aftermath and why I don't feel bad. She tried to ruin my life. She tried to take over my house. She tried to destroy my reputation. She tried to steal from me. And in the end, she lost everything. She spent months fighting legal battles. Last I heard, she was living in cheap motels, begging family for money. No one helped her. She had burned too many bridges. As for me, I moved on with my life, peaceful, happy, and free. For the first time, I felt safe. The person who had made my life miserable was finally facing the consequences of her actions. And I didn't feel guilty, not even a little.